We got a packed show on today's DNVR Broncos podcast. We're breaking down the AFC and NFC championship game. Is the NFL rigged for favoring the Chiefs? Plus, we're diving into the rest of the AFC West. Where does Sean Payton rank among the coaches in the AFC West with Pete Carroll joining the division? And then what would it look like if Russell Wilson is a Raider? The jam-packed show starts now. I thought I had found the lone bright spot for the Chiefs making the Super Bowl in terms of the Broncos, and that was ruined just before the start of the show. We're living on Misery Monday here, like the rest of the country is, with having to watch the Chiefs go to another Super Bowl. We're going to break it down on a DNVR Broncos podcast. This is a safe space. This is where Broncos country can vent. We are here for each other, and we are here in the Toyota Lounge, driven by your local Front Range Toyota stores, presented by Bet365. Use that code DNVR365 when you sign up. And we are the DNVR Broncos podcast. We got Super Bowl 50 champ Todd Davis, Henry Chisholm, Zach Stevens rocking and rolling with you guys. Is it as miserable for you guys today as it is for the rest of the country having to watch Mahomes win another Hunt trophy?
I mean, it is what it is at this point. I'm just happy to say that I can firmly say that I believe it's going to be over after this one. I don't think we're going to go into another long stretch of him winning multiple Super Bowls.
Really?
Just because I think anytime you watch any of the greats do it, they never get put into a like what we have in the AFC West with these coaches. They never get put in these situations where they have Hall of Fame coaches they have to coach against twice a year now. So even when Tom Brady was doing it, his division was crap the whole time.
Terrible.
Patrick Mahomes, the division has been crap for the most, point within his career. Now, I feel like things are changing. So I can say I feel like the Chiefs will lose 2 or 3 in the AFC West every single year from here on out.
So on Friday, you were saying how you didn't like Pete Carroll joining the division because it makes it so good. But now you're spinning it in a way of that's going to help take down the Chiefs.
Yeah,
I like it.
I don't know if that puts us up any further. I just feel like it just kind of knocks them down.
It's bad for the Broncos and the Chiefs.
Yeah.
I think I don't quite feel that way. I think it's fun looking back at those old teams. So there was never another good team in the Patriots division. But how much of that was because the Patriots were in the division? Could they have attracted better coaches? Would they have just won more games if the Patriots weren't sweeping everybody other? I feel like there's a little bit of a chicken and egg thing there. Where it's yes, there's always bad teams.
Still trash.
I mean, the Bills, the Dolphins
just
are probably
again. What
the Dolphins always were. They'll give you, they're 500 in a fun way.
In a fun way, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's what they always do, right? They were always 8-8, but look, they're running the Wildcat.
500 in a fun way might be absolute purgatory for it. I guess 500 in a bad,
that would
boring
be worse.
way would be worse, but.
Yeah.
Man, 500's about as bad as you can be in the NFL. So really quick, before we dive into the games this past weekend, plus we got a packed show. We're going to talk about Sean Payton, where he ranks among these coaches. We're going to talk about Russell Wilson potentially joining the division as well, because there's a report out there. But we're going to talk about these games, and I was trying to find some silver lining, because there is no silver lining except for one. There was one silver lining with the Chiefs making the Super Bowl. 2 of the 3 Pro Bowl guards from the AFC were both on the Chiefs.
Yep.
With the Chiefs making the Super Bowl, that means neither of them can play. That means they have to turn to the alternates in the Pro Bowl, and those guys get bumped up and get their first get a Pro Bowl nod. And the first alternate at guard was Denver Broncos' own Quinn Meinerz, which means he was guaranteed a spot in the Pro Bowl when the Chiefs won yesterday. So I'm thinking, man, what a little bit of a silver lining. Quinn finally gets the recognition he deserves, gets the Pro Bowl, helps his resume moving forward. And right before the show started, Mike Klis announced that Quinn Meinerz has declined that Pro Bowl offer. So literally, no good reasons for the Chiefs making the Super Bowl.
I don't know why you decline it. Like, I know everybody wants to make it and not be an alternate, but I mean, it is what it is, man. Like you get to go. It's only going to be better for you as far as endorsements and, you know, life after football, life during football. I think that's a win-win if you just went up. I don't know what he's doing that weekend. Maybe he's busy.
It's this week. Do you think he's busy?
I guarantee he's not busy.
Yeah, we're probably gonna see him at like a bowling tournament or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would have went. But
Yeah,
that's
I
just
talked
me.
to him last year, the day after like everything was announced, and I remember asking him like, "Yeah, so it's disappointing, right?" And he's like, "Yeah, it's disappointing. Like you always hope to get it, but you also obviously like the guys who've done it before, like those are names people know, so it's tough to crack the lineup. But also like." He didn't want to play an actual football game. That was for sure. Because he seems like the kind of guy, right? Where if you ask him, like, should the Pro Bowl be an actual football game where everybody gets to go like play? He's like, no, definitely not, because that's just a chance to get hurt.
I would have guessed a complete opposite. A lineman guard that absolutely mauls people over. I would have thought he would have taken up that opportunity.
But you also have to remember that 95% of people in the NFL probably just don't want to get hit anymore after. Like that's probably the rate that don't want to game.
100.
Yeah, if Quinn doesn't want to, it's probably.
But
100.
now the Pro Bowl isn't that.
Exactly.
Yes.
But I just asked him about it, and so then I just remember the general vibe being like he really didn't care. When I came into it, I was like, oh, this guy's gonna be like super upset because he's worked really hard. So yeah, it's. I might need to go back and find that interview and just see what he had to say.
But I feel like he did care this year when he didn't get it. Zach Allen and him, they were both all pros, but neither of them were Pro Bowlers, which is so unbelievably stupid. Doesn't make any sense. But it seemed like both those guys were a little bummed there. Quinn, go spend a week in Orlando, even if it's Orlando and it's not the best place in the world and you're not going to go.
What's the most magical place on earth?
Yeah, exactly. If you don't believe it's the most magical place on earth, it's free.
Delusional.
I'm sure you get if you win the Pro Bowl, I think there's still a little bit of checks money involved that you get from that. But the biggest thing is, unfortunately, there's two things that matter when it comes to like, are you a Hall of Famer or not? And are you an all-decade team or not? It's Pro Bowls and All-Pros. Congratulations to Quinn. He got the All-Pro. All-Pros should matter more. They do matter. But Pro Bowl still matters. And it doesn't matter if you're an alternate. Like, if you're listed as an alternate and you don't get in, nothing's on your resume. It doesn't count as a Pro Bowl alternate. If he would have accepted this invite, then he would have been a Pro Bowler. It wouldn't have been a Pro Bowler with a little asterisk that said like he's a Pro Bowler. Yeah. But if you decline the invite, and this doesn't make sense, but it is what it is, you don't get the Pro Bowl nod to your name at all. Trevor Siemian was invited to the Pro Bowl in 2016 when he led your team, helped lead your team. You dragged him, I don't know what you want to call it, Todd, to a 9-7 record. He was an alternate. He was invited to the Pro Bowl, but he was hurt, so he had to decline it. Now he can't say he was a Pro Bowler ever. He doesn't get that Pro Bowl by his name. And Quinn is going to be a 6, 7, 8-time Pro Bowler in his career, but he just passed out off of one that he can get. So, I guess I just commend the decision even more to say I don't want that, and it's going to help my future to pass up on that. But from a Broncos perspective, I wish he would have done it, because then it would have given the Broncos another Pro Bowler, would have helped his Hall of Fame career out.
Yeah. I think, like you said, when you get to the end of your career and they're talking about Hall of Fame or Ring of Fame, all those things come into play. And then just to be there that week, you're with the best players in the NFL. And I think, there's some kind of camaraderie that comes with being in the Pro Bowl. And I don't know, that would have been cool. That's just me talking out loud. But I don't know why he doesn't want it.
Are you going to watch the Pro Bowl?
Of course not.
Okay.
No, and people are saying in the Twitter chat, Pro Bowl is a joke. It doesn't mean anything. It's a third fan vote, a third of media, and a third of executives, or maybe it's not media, it's coaches and executives, something like that. Yes, it's stupid, but it matters.
Yes.
It matters. In that Hall of Fame room, when they are voting on you and they are judging your career, they still look at Pro Bowls. So we all know it's a joke, but it still matters, unfortunately. And of course, Henry, I'm not going to watch any of the Pro Bowl things this week. I think they actually start on like Thursday night. I'm not going to watch a single thing. And I've always been like, even when the Pro Bowl was a game, it was terrible. I would never watch it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but it does unfortunately mean something.
That surprises me, because you don't watch anything but sports. So
yeah, I don't.
Anytime sports are on.
The Pro Bowl is like the biggest ick in the world.
Wow.
No, keep me away. Like midday NBA, grossed out, creeped out by
Really?
that. Yes.
Why?
Just like,
Has to be nighttime.
yes, has to be like this Saturday. Nothing was on. There was no football, college
awesome.
or NFL.
Got Wemby out in Paris.
Yeah, and then you had the Nuggets on too, and I watched the Nuggets, but my skin was crawling the whole time.
Wow.
I just don't like it. That's how I feel about the Pro Bowl too.
You know they're indoors, like you can't tell
Yeah.
whether it's night or day.
But I can tell. My window's right there, and the sun's shining in. I'm like, this just feels wrong. I don't have shades. It's kind of an issue with. It's not an issue with my neighbors, but
So do you watch
it could be.
Saturday football? Is that okay?
Yeah, that's okay.
In the day
yeah,
time?
football in the day is okay.
Okay.
Yeah. I get creeped out. But enough about what I get creeped out by, because Broncos country is creeped out by the Chiefs making another Super Bowl. Let's break down these two games because it's the talk of the town today. And Broncos country in the Toyota chat. Let us know how you're feeling, because, again, we're here for you. This is what Mondays are for, when the Chiefs just keep winning. It's a vent session, so let us know. Do you think it's rigged? What do you think of the Chiefs making it again? What do you think of that game? And before we get to our feelings and thoughts on that, plus we're going to talk about the Eagles as well. Maybe they can beat the Chiefs. Let's give a shout-out to our friends over at Mando. And if you don't know what Mando is yet, it's an all-body men's deodorant that's hyper-focused on keeping every aspect of a man's body smelling fresh and clean. If you were sweating during that Bills-Chiefs game yesterday, Mando would have been there to help you out, because it not only covers the normal areas that you would think of, like, I put deodorant on my pits,
You would think.
but parts, legs, arms, feet, grundles, neck, balls, butt cracks.
Todd
We could
hardly
keep-
even smiles when you say Grundle now.
Todd,
He's
do you
been
want to add to the
desensitized.
list of where Mando helps?
I think that's everywhere.
Everywhere.
Wow.
And in fact, they have it with so many different manly flavors like bourbon leather, clover woods, Mount Fuji, and Pro Sport. So if you want to get in on Mando, check them out. They are going to hook you up. If you use the code DNVR over at shopmando.com, that's shopmando.com. Use that code DNVR. You are going to get a special offer of customers getting $5 off a starter pack with their exclusive code. Plus, with that, you're also going to get the solid stick deodorant, cream tube deodorant, 2 free products of your choice, and free shipping over at shopmando.com. It's going to be 40% off by using that code DNVR.
Was that your like intruder voice? Like
It should have been.
Who is it?
I'd say would pick up the baseball bat next to my bed.
Save that one for the Airbnb New Orleans.
It's true. You bringing the bat?
We'll have to get one of Sean's bat game bats. Yeah.
Watch
See if
what you
anybody has
say.
those.
Sean
Yeah.
might not let you leave this place alive
That's
by giving that info.
That's
out.
true.
Well, shout out to our friends over at Coors Light. You guys know we love our Coors Light here, and it's because it's so refreshing. And if you guys want to choose chill, you got to check out our friends over at Coors Light. I know, it's stressful right now. The Chiefs are doing it again. They're back in the Super Bowl. But everything's going to be okay. I think it's looking up and up for the Denver Broncos. So you guys can go ahead and choose chill. And when the mountains turn blue, it is as cold as the Rockies. Coors Light is cold lagered, cold filtered, and cold packaged for a smoother finish. When you embrace the chill mindset, it's time to choose chill and crack open a Coors Light. And if you want Coors Light delivered straight to your door, you can visit CoorsLight.com/DNVR, or you can find it pretty much anywhere that sells beer. Celebrate responsibly. Coors Brewing Company in Golden, Colorado.
So shout out to our presenting sponsor, Bet365. Use that code DNVR365. Deposit $10. Place a $5 bet, and you're going to get $150 in bonus bets, win or lose. And as the Toyota chat is saying right now, we got some Swiftie references in there from John. Josh says, boo, Chiefs paying the refs. Did you guys feel like this game was impacted by the refs yesterday?
Yeah, I mean, every game's impacted by the refs. I think
Any given Sunday?
Yeah,
sort of
like
thing,
there's
cliches?
always every single game's gonna have something that, that one. I don't think it was ridiculously impacted by the refs. Like, I don't think that. I mean, it was a tough call. You go back to the 4th down when they kept doing that dumb tush push and it never worked, but they still kept trying, which is just the stupidest move. That was driving me crazy because they line up and you're thinking there's no way they're going to get it. Like, at that point in the game, they're 1 for 5 So yeah, but they get it. They probably did get it. I thought. I'm not surprised that they didn't call it that way because it was really tough to tell. And whatever they called on the field was going to stand because you couldn't really see it on the replay. So it was just a 50-50 call and it went the other way.
But how do you not get that tush push? Like Jalen Hurts, a much smaller quarterback. I know he has a strong lower body, so they say. I don't know.
600-pound squat.
But I mean, Josh Allen, he's 6'5", 265 pounds. Like, you can't get us a yard. Not even a yard. It was like 6 inches at that point. You know what I'm saying?
6 inches is a lot, Tom. Let me tell you.
There we go.
Well, I'm just saying, like, I don't mind the play call because you would think that Josh Allen plus the Bills offensive line, who Hank said already they were better than the Chiefs.
Yeah.
But they weren't good enough.
James
They
Cook
weren't
running
good enough
all
to
over
get
him.
6 inches when the game
They couldn't
mattered.
do that. Well, but why were they still calling it? Because they tried it down on the goal line over and over and over again, didn't get it. Like eventually they tried it a couple times and they did get it once. And I think they were 1 for 5 or 1 for 6 at that point. And they tried again. And you're just like, this is call a different play. It doesn't work.
In your mind, you're thinking like, there's no way this doesn't work again.
In your mind, you would think so if you hadn't seen it not work over and over and over. Well, I like that they tried to like get him to jump off sides that time. They weren't letting him jump the count.
They obviously did a good job of it because if you go to that Eagles Commanders game, they got to the point where refs were like, "Hey guys, if you keep jumping off sides, like we're gonna have to enforce."
Had you guys ever heard of that?
I had never heard of that before.
No,
it's incredible. And, I mean, at that point, the Chiefs are licking their chops. They're like, the refs can just give us points. We love
had
this
never
right
heard of
now.
that before.
That was crazy.
But I mean, you
I
have
guess
to.
it makes sense.
Yeah.
At some point, or else if I'm the commander, I would just kept doing that.
because
I'm doing it. There's no way to stop this play. Obviously, maybe not. The Chiefs did it, but like besides that, you're not stopping it.
You'd be the guy. You'd
I'm
be
jumping
Frankie
over.
Louvu. Yeah.
I'm jumping over.
Why don't the Chiefs, if the Bills are doing the full tush push, why don't they actually do it the right way? Instead of doing how Jalen Hurts does it, where they have a guy on each side and they push him, and the center gets super low and creates that leverage, which is just impossible to stop. Why don't the Bills do that if they're going to commit to it? Because what they do is instead they put a running back, fullback, just one behind Josh Allen and push him. Like, if they're doing it, why don't you fully commit?
I don't know. And he doesn't go straight ahead. He picks his gap.
That's the big thing.
As opposed to just like
that takes a little bit of
It's
time.
part QB
too.
sneak, part tush push.
Yeah. Sneak push.
Yeah.
But going back to your point about about the refs, I don't think the refs had like too much influence over this game. Like as opposed to some in the past. This wasn't the worst game called by the refs.
Yeah, and fortunately, I mean, I know still a lot of Broncos country is, not liking the refs for that call, but at least it didn't come down to a bogus PI where the Chiefs had to have a first down. It was 4th down. So at least it wasn't that. But the original spot was heartbreaking for everyone outside of Kansas City because at least on my angle, I saw the first official from the top run down, and I'm like, that's a first down.
Yeah.
Then I see the one from below, and I'm like, that's not a first down. Which one are they going to go with?
Yeah.
They went with the short, and once it was called short, and then we saw the first couple of angles of replay, there was no way they were going to be able to overturn it because Chris Jones is standing right in the way of the camera, so you can't see the ball. And so if they would have ruled it a first down on the field, it would have stayed a first down. There was just not enough indisputable evidence. I don't think that was New York stepping in and saying, give them, make sure they don't get it, because it was just like there wasn't enough evidence that you need in those situations, and it sucks because Chris Jones was just standing right there.
Remember the one they did get though, where Josh Allen put the ball over the top?
Yeah,
I couldn't believe he did that. Like that just seems like an automatic fumble. Because the thing is,
he did fumble.
He did
on the way
fumble,
down,
and somehow was able to grab it, which is just so lucky. But that's why you don't reach the ball over the top
unless it's a touchdown.
Exactly, and you can't pull it back because otherwise it's now short of the sticks. So you just have to like leave it out there. And I get like he's a big dude, strong guy. I would imagine has really big, strong hands.
Really good at holding on to balls.
Okay, let's not push it. But
I mean, that's what he's doing. He's holding on to it over the top.
One.
Oh, ball.
Yeah,
sorry.
we go. One.
Do you know something about Josh we don't?
No.
But the thing, it worked though. Like it worked.
Yeah.
And I can't believe it worked, but that's what it took. And I think at that point you've got to just say, okay, we got that one. Let's never try these plays again.
To me, I don't know if I feel like even if they would have got the first down, just the way that game went and every other Bills Chiefs playoff game has gone, the Chiefs were going to win that game regardless. Like, I'd seen enough to that point to be like, even if they get the first down, they kick a field goal, they tie it, the Chiefs are going to go down and win the ball game. Especially, I mean, the Bills had other chances to win that game at the end. But of course, Samaje Perine, the dude was a Bronco in August. He's the one that clinches the win for them. I don't know the conversation in Buffalo right now, but I'm going to relate this to the Broncos. Todd, was John Fox a good coach?
Yeah, absolutely.
A really good coach, right?
Yes.
The Broncos got to a point where they said, yeah, John Fox, you're a really good coach, but we need someone else to get us over the top.
Yeah.
If I'm the Bills, thank you, Sean McDermott, for everything you've done. You've got us to this point. You have helped develop Josh Allen and got this team believing. We need someone else to take us over the top. And I know that they were having those conversations last year, but holy cow. I mean, you guys were talking about, how do you still do a play that doesn't work? Like, how are you still doing that?
Yeah.
That's on coaching. Now, maybe it's Joe Brady, the one who's making the calls, but there's still a guy ahead of him and above him who can say, like, don't do that. That doesn't work anymore. And it just feels like Sean McDermott's never going to be able to beat Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid. If I'm the Bills, we've saw it in Denver. They need to follow that model.
And I didn't know that there was like a little brother, big brother thing between Sean and Andy Reid.
Yep.
So I think anytime you're in that situation, like, you got to get a coach that has nothing to do with Andy Reid. You know what I'm saying? Doesn't look up to him, doesn't have any past history with him. This is his own great coach in his own right. Because as of right now, he doesn't seem like the guy that can get them over the hump into the Super Bowl.
Yeah. At the same time, this was supposed to be the down year. Like, this is the year they got rid of Stephon Diggs and all those guys, and it was supposed to be like, okay, you take your lumps this year, and then next year you can kind of get back to being ourselves. And they still made it to the AFC Championship. Yeah. Like, they exceeded everybody's expectations. But there is something there, especially because this is 4 now, right?
Yeah.
Where it's like, if it's a coin toss, heads, that's no surprise. Like that, you can't say that there's anything wrong with the coin or anything. 4 in a row, all of a sudden, because what, 50-50, 25% chance, 12.5, but there'll be 25% chance one is 3-0 if they're equal teams. You throw that down to 12.5% chance if you lose all 4, all of a sudden, like, there's no more like, oh, it's kind of fluky. You're kind of just getting your butt kicked by this team. And
aren't you throwing it down to 6.25?
For it to be either of the individual teams in particular to have lost all of them.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and I mean, from a Broncos perspective, it's just anyone but the Chiefs is kind of how I think we're viewing it here in Broncos country. That's why, as of today, for the next 13 days, Broncos country, big Eagles fans. You guys okay with that?
I'm fine with that. I think the Eagles can do it. I know we haven't talked about that matchup yet, but feels like they're well equipped to handle the Chiefs. I mean, the defense is pretty solid. Got some big D tackles in there that I feel like, are game wreckers. Have a dynamic running back, really good offensive line. The tush push works. They know how to run it.
True.
So if it comes down to a yard, I feel like the Eagles can, push forward for that 1 yard.
I do wish I was cheering for just about anybody else. Like, it'd be easier for me to get behind the Lions or like
Commanders.
The command, it's I'm not a huge Eagles fan. I do love Saquon though. Like, I kind of dislike everything about the Eagles other than Saquon, but Saquon's likable. He's fun. Hopefully he just runs all over him.
Yeah, Saquon and Najee, kind of the same running back. We will definitely get into that conversation where you kind of sparked the internet on fire yesterday. We're going to have a whole conversation about that, especially because Najee Harris could legitimately be a Bronco.
Yeah, that's why I thought, let's talk about him a little bit. But no, don't talk about people on the internet.
So, Henry, why? Because there is this like feeling out there of no one in the country likes the Eagles either. Why is that? Especially because you mentioned it. Why is that?
Wow. I don't really know. I remember the Eagles and the Bucks playing in an NFC Championship game. That would have been the one the Bucks won, went to the Super Bowl, played the Raiders.
Like 2001.
It must have been, yeah. Yeah, and I remember going to that thinking like, wow, these Eagles I don't like the Eagles. And I've never liked the Eagles. And I think I don't like their fans. I think
that's a big one.
Yeah. The fans are tough. I don't like the East Coast in general. Like any of those, it's just kind of I'm out. They all seem like the worst. No, unless you're a Broncos fan, because then you obviously see the light.
No offense to over half the people that live in this country.
But not the Broncos fans. They know that the goodness is the Broncos. Then you go through. It's like it's not like Sirianni's anything. Like He isn't like somebody you go look at and say like, oh, he's super personable and nice.
That's fair.
I think
He's embraced Philly.
the way the team works, I think everybody's just a little bit sick of the tush push. And I don't think it needs to be banned, but like it's kind of boring. It's not great football to watch. I don't know. Just general vibes. We've seen him before in the Super Bowl, which makes it kind of boring to see him again.
And they
Not a big
lost
Vic
to the
Fangio
Chiefs.
guy either, you know?
Yeah, no, not.
Are you not?
No, we're asking him.
No. Yeah, hey, I might be the biggest Big Fangio fan on the set.
Everyone's a big Fangio fan now going against the Chiefs.
Yeah.
And man, I've heard the narrative that like Vic Fangio is meant to stop Patrick Mahomes. Like that's what his defense is for. And you can tell me if I'm wrong. I think that's a false narrative. Vic Fangio is all about the two high safeties, keeping everything in front of him. No one completes more short passes than Patrick Mahomes. He is more than okay dinking and dunking his way down the field. And we saw it yesterday. Like 2 weeks ago in the first playoff game for the Chiefs, Travis Kelce had 117 receiving yards. He was the guy. The Bills took him away yesterday, and Mahomes had no issue just dinking and dunking to other guys every way around. Their first drive was, 9 plays, 90 yards, and it was literally 10 yards at a time. I am very concerned that Vic Fangio's defense is not the right defense to stop him.
I don't think any defense is built to stop Mahomes because he's just that dynamic playmaker. He's going to make somebody make a mistake, or if you do have a good defensive game plan, they're going to come out doing RPOs, and he's just going to be threading the needle, finding guys. Like, there's not really much you can do to stop him. I think you just have to limit him and then not let them have a ground game going, because if they have both, then they're really explosive. So hopefully he does enough. I mean, I think the defense is good enough as far as like the pieces to match up with them well. It's just all about, executing your job, because if you let him scramble, you let him get out the pocket. And that's what they were doing so much of last night, is that they were able to have their, tackle or their tight end blocked down on the edge. And then all of a sudden he was just running. Patrick Mahomes was running, finding room, and then being able to find people downfield or take off and run. I think he had almost like 60 yards rushing last night.
2 touchdowns.
Yeah. And when he's able to do that, I think he's unstoppable.
They just they had an answer for everything. Like, one of the things I thought the Bills did was they had that one drive where they just ran the ball every play, and they ran all over them. And you're like, this is awesome. But at some point, you need to run a play action off of that, or you need to like shock them with a quick pass, because it felt like that kind of dried up and they just kind of clung to it. The Chiefs, part of it is just they're good at almost everything, but they open things up and they go with those RPOs. And as soon as you start to think, okay, they're going with the RPOs, then you start rolling out. At one point, they get the running game going. It's like, we're just going to go at you like 4 times right up the middle while you're focused on all this stuff. They just do so many things so well, and they just bounce from one to the other, and they just execute, and they don't make mistakes, and they don't get called for penalties. And the only way the Bills were really able to get him off the field was the fumble, when Mahomes fumbled.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, the Bills almost did the same thing. It's just that, like, that first drive, Josh Allen throws 2 just horrible passes.
Boy, I was nervous.
He should have been picked off 3 times in his first 2 passes.
Totally. And you just can't be wasting opportunities. Like, at no point in the game, other than the fumble, did the Chiefs just, like, say, oh, no, we don't have it this drive, give it right back. Like, they always had something in the Bills, and that's just what set them behind the whole game.
Yep, I totally agree, man. And at the end of the game, they pan to Josh Allen right after Samaje gets that, and the game's over. And I feel so bad for Josh, because the way he's played, he should have made a Super Bowl or won a Super Bowl. He just happens to be playing against Patrick Mahomes, and now that's the issue that the Broncos face now. And maybe one of the ways the Broncos can get over the hump of Mahomes and the Chiefs, just like the rest of the, not just AFC West, but AFC is doing, is by a stronger division in the AFC West, kind of tearing the Chiefs down. Let's talk about the division. And before we do that, Henry, do you have our fantasy football draft?
Yeah, you won.
Great.
126.5. I was second, 102.5.
Oh, it wasn't even close.
Yeah. Todd with 98.7. You really
trash.
Worthy.
Who did
Worthy was the big one. That was kind of separate.
Worthy.
I did the scoring,
Yeah,
unfortunately.
Henry, I didn't even do it. I didn't know the answer to that. I wasn't teeing up because I knew I won.
James Cook and A.J. Brown really carried Todd. But like Kenneth Gainwell getting hurt almost immediately. Like, imagine if that was him at the end of the Eagles game.
Yeah.
Like if he was the one breaking off those big runs at the end, all of a sudden that could be different.
And your first pick, wasn't Travis Kelce your first pick?
Trash.
He did absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
So that's what killed you. But Saquon, man, he was the first pick of the draft. We all thought that was great, and he did it for you, Henry.
He scored more points than anybody, but 31.2. Only 3 points, less than 3 points more than James Cook. But then I had Eckler, I had Brian Robinson. Those guys combined for 10.
Yeah.
Yeah. Diami Brown made a couple plays, 5 points. Hopkins had 2 points. Goddard was good, and I have Mahomes, the best quarterback in terms of scoring. Hate the guy, but
was Mahomes, clip that. Was Mahomes better than Hurts in terms of stats? Oh, because Mahomes
Nobody
also
drafted
had 2
Hurts.
touchdowns. No, but I know. But like, if someone would have drafted Hurts, did he actually outscore everyone, and he was the only one that was undrafted?
I had that thought, but never went back to check because he ran for 3, right?
It was either 2 or 3. Yeah,
I
3.
think
They
it
had
was 3.
7 rushing touchdowns.
Yeah.
Yeah, they went crazy.
Insane.
So if he had 10 points over the course of everything that wasn't his rushing touchdowns, he would have had the most.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yep. Insane. Maybe we'll do this again. Maybe we'll find out some way to do it for the Super Bowl.
We all each just pick whichever quarterback we want. Otherwise,
There's only 2.
Oh, I see
but
what
then
you
like
mean.
we just you
We
can
each
take
get-
one or the other.
Oh.
Instead of drafting.
Okay, I like that.
We can find a way.
Speaking of the Super Bowl, we are going to be down at the Super Bowl next week, which is going to be an absolute blast. We're going live from New Orleans 5 days, so you're going to want to make sure to stay tuned to that. And one more thing that we just dropped over at thednvr.com, our draft expert, Fran Duffy, who's been a draft expert for decades now, he just dropped his all-inclusive draft guide. It is amazing. So you got to go to check out thednvr.com. I've already been living off it, and it's only been live for a couple of hours now. If you want to know about the draft, this is your ultimate guide. So check us out over at thednvr.com. You got to be a diehard, so make sure to sign up. I promise you, it is well worth it.
Former Eagle Fran Duffy.
Former Eagle Fran
Yes,
Duffy,
we stole him from the Eagles.
Yes, and now he covers the Eagles for PHLY, and we're going to have him on our show actually tomorrow. So make sure to stay tuned for that as we jump in to draft coverage, plus looking at the Shrine Bowl where he was just at. But before we move on to this next conversation, I want to give a shout out to our friends over at Live Well, where if you want to live well is going to help you. They've got 25 convenient Colorado locations everywhere. And of course, it's a dispensary with premium selection and expert service that awaits you. They've got a knowledgeable, supportive staff that are there to help you with whatever you're looking for, whether it's a cannabis flower, edibles, concentrates, and so much more. They proudly offer a price match guarantee, ensuring you get the best value of matching local competitors' prices on eligible products. And you can order online over at livewell.com, or you can go in store. And regardless of which one you do, when you go in store, mention the code DNVR25 to get 25% off one qualified item. You can get 25% off of that. So if you order over at livewell.com, when you go into store to pick it up, mention DNVR25, and you're going to get 25% off your order. That's LiveWell. Visit one of their locations or over at livewell.com and use that code DNVR25. Restrictions apply.
And shout out to Circle K. They've got so much good stuff. I remember I used to think those rollers were so cool.
With the hot dogs?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like I remember going to like high school basketball games, or you go up there and they just have like the hot dogs just rolling back there. I was like, wow, that's because they always stay in one spot. They get hot. I still don't totally understand how they work, but
New technology from Montana.
yeah, that was when we got rollers. It was something crazy. But yeah,
What
I think
the hell is that?
it rolls. Yeah. But yeah, they've got all sorts of stuff on the rollers. They got those. They've got like little taco type things, different burritos, all sorts of taquitos. Yeah.
Taco type. That's Montana. Mexican food.
It's either taco or okay.
They actually put it in as a taco, and because it rolls, it just turns into a roller.
You learn a lot about these damn rollers. Circle K is awesome, though. They've got free membership. It's easy to get their app and join. You just put your email in, phone number in, you'll be fully enrolled. There are deals every day. And if you sign up for the Inner Circle, you can get 25 cents off per gallon on your first or your next 5 fill-ups. So download Circle K app, sign up for the Inner Circle for exclusive offers. New offers, purchase clubs, and sweepstakes are uploaded weekly.
And shout out to our presenting sponsor, Bet365. Use that code DNVR365 when you sign up. All right, fellas. On Friday, Pete Carroll joined the division, which kind of sparked the conversation here. We talked about it on the show, but then also nationally. is the AFC West the best head coach division, not just now, but in the history of the NFL? You've got Andy Reid, who's won 3 Super Bowls. You've got Sean Payton, who's won a Super Bowl. You've got Pete Carroll, who's won a Super Bowl. And you've got John Harbaugh, who has won a national championship at the college level. And certainly, I mean, I've only been around on this earth for 32 years, but from my knowledge, I think it's the best.
Without a doubt. I mean, I would need Hank to do some research to see.
I did the research.
If there's one better, but I would say, I mean, it'd be hard for me to think of any 4 coaches as good as these guys in the same division.
Well, let me tell you about the NFC East from 1986 to 88.
How old are you?
28. You tried to trick me. My birthday was last week.
You were 28 in 1988?
Oh, back then? No, I would have been -9.
Yeah, exactly.
I would have thought that was longer before my birth than just 9 years. That feels like so long ago.
Yeah.
You know?
You're old now.
Huh. It's
Yeah.
whoa, I wonder, it's like my life is as close to its start as the start was to 1960.
60.
7.
Oh,
68. So something like that. That's another weird way.
We're getting deep right
Yeah.
now.
The point is, the NFC East from 1986 to 88, you have Tom Landry, legendary coach the Cowboys for 30 years, won 2 Super Bowls. You have Joe Gibbs with the Washington team there with 3 Super Bowls. You've got Buddy Ryan, who never actually won a Super Bowl, but then you've got Bill Parcells with 2 Super Bowls. So that group combined for 7 Super Bowls. Those are some pretty legendary coaches.
But one guy without a championship ever, maybe?
Yeah. But Harbaugh still hasn't won one in the NFL either.
At college, though.
He did win one in college.
This is actually a weird. Do we want this to be the best division ever in terms of head coaches? Because for some reason, at least to me, it feels like a cool thing, like a pride. Like, yeah, this is the best division. But then you're like, wait, that means like other guys are going to win Super Bowls, and that means it's going to be tougher to win the AFC West. So maybe this is actually, I thought it was like a cool conversation. Maybe it's actually a depressing one.
I think it's cool because if we don't get to the Super Bowl next year, then we have something to tell the nation. Listen, guys, we're in the toughest division of coaches of all time. Like, we're doing our best. You
Just
know
ride with
we
us
made
for the next
playoffs.
decade, and we'll figure it out when things slow down.
Yeah, you guys are in easy divisions. You don't understand what it's like to be a Bronco fan. But I wonder what their records were. What were the records of those teams that year?
Ooh, let's see.
Good call.
I can check.
As Henry looks that up, Henry kind of mentioned like maybe the Broncos can just outlast these other teams. They literally could, because Sean Payton's 61. He's the youngest coach in the division. When Pete Carroll coaches his first game this year, he will automatically become the oldest head coach in NFL history. How about that?
Crazy.
And they just hired him. They signed him up for 3 years guaranteed and then a team option for the 4th.
Yeah, these old coaches are sticking around, man. I thought that like it was like a new regime. You think of some young coaches coming up, but these old coaches are like, money's too good. I can't leave.
Yeah. So they were together 3 years. The first year, Bill Parcells won the Super Bowl. The second year, Joe Gibbs won the Super Bowl. Then the third year, Buddy Ryan won the division, but obviously didn't win the Super Bowl.
Wow.
Yeah.
Not bad.
Would you take that right now if I said in the next 2 years,
Everybody's gonna take that.
Yes.
after this year, if I said 2 AFC West teams are guaranteed to win the Super Bowl?
100%.
Oh, man.
There's no doubt
that is
at all.
either going to be...
That's a what? What's the 25% chance that's you?
I mean,
And 50% if I say it's 2 different teams.
Yeah.
the only downside is that it means you're not going back to back to back in the next 3 years, which is something I'll live
cares?
with.
Well, that's not the only down. The real downside to me would be it's either the Broncos winning one or you have to watch 2 different teams in your division win one. Like, what if the Chiefs win this year, and this year's not included? So next year, the Chargers win, and the year after, the Raiders win, and you're the only team in 4 years now. Don't think that'll happen because
No.
I don't think the Raiders are in that position. But
Yes.
you guys would sign up for that?
100%.
As long as the Raiders can't win, that would have to be like the
No,
little
I'm not
caveat.
giving you that guarantee. Not giving you that guarantee.
No, they just have, what's the coach they have?
They
Who's
have
the coach that got the
Buddy
Buddy
Ryan.
Ryan?
Oh,
Yeah,
they
they
got
have
Buddy
Buddy
Ryan.
Ryan.
Okay,
Yeah.
I like
They
that.
have Buddy Ryan.
I agree with you guys. I would take it because you got a 50-50 shot.
Yeah.
And probably the Chiefs are one of them. So can you beat the Chargers? Because the Raiders aren't one of them. So still 50-50 shot.
Yeah.
So saying all of this, where does Sean Payton stack up in terms of the coaches in the AFC West right now. We can all have our own different opinions on this, but we all got to come together for one official DNVR Broncos podcast, AFC West head coach rankings. Henry, do we start at the top or the bottom?
What do you like?
I get my choice? Sometimes.
What?
I didn't know I could choose.
I guess let's start with the least exciting. Let's go at the top.
Okay.
Do we all agree on this? Is there
Yeah.
any argument
I
to be
think-
made?
Before we, so is this based on like who you'd want for this year, or is it like if
Just the best coaching.
if you're putting together like your Hall of Fame ballot, what's the order?
That's a good good thing to decide. Yeah.
That's a good say.
What should we do, Todd? Should we do let's do I feel like power rankings. Let's do right now.
Yeah.
Okay, just
Like
right now
for this
Okay.
next year. Is that right? No?
That's fine.
For this
Yeah.
next contract that they're
yeah.
on?
We should, honestly, we should do both. We just have to decide which one to put on a graphic.
Okay. Yeah. Let's do the power rankings
Okay.
on a graphic. And let's start with that. So
Easier to have hot takes here, I think.
is there a hot take outside of number one? I mean, none of us want to say it, but I feel like we can't go any other way other
Yeah.
than what's his name? Big Red or
AR.
something?
AR.
AR. Yeah.
yeah.
Well, that's too close to Aaron Rodgers. I don't like that.
Anthony
yeah.
Richardson.
So no disagreements.
No, I mean, the case against it would be that, again, if you're making a Hall of Fame ballot, then yeah, obviously the achievements are the achievements. But you could also say, you know, he has Mahomes. Like maybe if you're just looking for him to coach a neutral team, you'd want somebody else. But no, you still probably want Andy Reid.
Isn't he the winningest coach in Eagles?
Yeah,
history
he is.
too?
Yeah, Donovan McNabb.
Oh, okay.
I was probably the biggest Andy Reid detractor when he became the Chiefs head coach because I'd always point to, well, he won a lot of games with the Eagles, but never won the whole thing,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
he's overrated. And unfortunately, he's had to
That
just make
changes
him
quickly,
go
yeah.
away with
Very
that narrative.
quickly.
But Henry, I agree. If you're gonna say anything
Yeah.
negative about Andy Reid, you do say he's only won a Super Bowl when he's had Patrick Mahomes,
Yeah.
which also kind of sucks because then you have to give Mahomes a lot of credit. So let's move on from this one because yeah, he's number one. Number two, so much debate here. I think. Todd, who would you put?
This is tough. I mean, if we're talking about this very next year, I don't think if it wasn't just this next year, I think Pete Carroll because he's done it in college, he's done it in the NFL, and he's been successful
Okay.
every year with the Seahawks. They've been with Russell Wilson, and we saw what.
Yeah,
So I think that gives him a little bump. But you just talk about this next year. Oh man, you got to think about Harbaugh or Sean Payton, and Harbaugh what he was able to do in his first year with the Chargers is scary. I mean, they were 4-13 the year
Yeah.
before, and then they went. What they go 11-5, 11-6 this year.
Yeah.
It's a big change in 1 year.
Broncos won 5 games and then won 8 games and then won 10 games.
We did. It's a little bit slower progression.
Yeah.
Dang, this is tough.
Yeah.
Can we
part of
talk
it is,
about the team that they have too, or no, just the coach?
I think it's just the coach.
Yeah.
if you're just plugging them
Dang.
into a new team, who do you want? I think they're different coaches.
Yeah,
Like
you
Harbaugh's
guys
like
pick.
he's
For sure.
like the motivator. I think Sean obviously is like in that same way, kind of like program builder Parcells type, but also has some of the scheme stuff. So I think the well-roundedness. Whereas again, I think you look at what's his name? Old man?
Pete.
Yeah,
Old
you look
man
at Pete and he's like the program builder, like probably motivator as well.
Big energy.
But maybe doesn't quite have the scheme stuff that Sean has. So I think that's the case, is that he
Yeah.
kind of has the blend of all those things. Whereas I get like Andy Reid to me is more of a scheme guy than anything else.
So are you going? Who would you make the case for?
It's
Yeah,
to
because
me,
Sean's
it's
actually calling plays.
Exactly. Harbaugh and Sean is what I have it down to.
For sure, and I totally agree with that. I think it's between
tough.
these two. So I mean, we could probably just put Pete at 4 right now if we want to go top and bottom.
Sorry, Pete.
To start this off, I would.
What's the middle?
That's a good question. I would personally go Sean here. I think what the job Sean did last year, this isn't taking anything away from Harbaugh. He did an incredible job last year, but the job that Sean did last year was, I mean, he's a finalist for Coach of the Year. I don't think Harbaugh is. So right there, we could just do it based
Yeah.
off the AP voters, Sean being number 2. So personally, I would go Sean number 2. Harbaugh being 3. if in my book, he's the best number 3 head coach in a division in the NFL, maybe NFL history, and Pete at 4, exact same thing. So it's really hard to put these other guys down. It's more so looking at what someone else has done that another guy didn't. The Broncos were supposedly had the second worst roster in the NFL, and Sean Payton helped get them the most
and the 6th best rookie quarterback.
And this, exactly.
Yes.
Who people were flaming him for taking, and he turned him into the 2nd best rookie quarterback in the NFL this season. So I think what Sean did, developing the quarterback, leading a team, and leading a team to a playoffs that had no business being there, according to everyone before the season started. I put Sean at 2, but this is a 3-person set. We're gonna have 2 against 1 here. If you guys both want Harbaugh, then we'll go that way.
No, I'm rocking with you. I'll rock with Sean number 2.
Boom.
I think
Sean
a good
2.
tiebreaker is that Harbaugh had the worst playoff meltdown too.
Oh,
if you're just comparing the 2 of them,
my goodness.
Harbaugh's was worse.
Yep.
Worst team they played, and probably uglier as well.
Was that shout out to Justin Herbert, you think, or?
Yeah, I mean he's what, the 2nd best Oregon quarterback in the division.
We'll have that conversation soon too.
Yeah,
it's just incredible. He threw 3 interceptions all season, Herbert, and then he threw 4 in a playoff game.
Yeah.
And so he's had that meltdown, and the only other playoff game that Herbert's been to, he blew a, what was the lead? They were up 28 to, was it 3? Was it the exact same one?
Was it?
I don't know, but they had a massive lead on the Jags and choked that one away. So Herbert's a guy you want in the regular season, but you want to be so far away from once the postseason starts. Did we get this right, or do we need to have a conversation between Pete and Jim?
No, I think we got it right.
Yeah. It also hurts a lot for this conversation for Pete that he has no quarterback. And while we're not looking at the team, it's hard to kind of separate coach and quarterback in this conversation, just like it is with Andy Reid. Like, I don't know how many Super Bowls Andy Reid would have won with Alex Smith. We know he won 0 during the time together. So it's tough there. Obviously, Sean did it. I mean, what this all comes down to is, do you have a great quarterback?
In terms of the Hall of Fame, what's the...
Andy Reid's number
Andy
1.
Reid, if you're putting these guys in order, most deserving for Pro Football Hall of Fame, which is an important distinction.
I think they can all get in, honestly.
Yeah.
I think the person who would have the hardest time would be Jim Harbaugh.
Yeah, agree.
Yep.
Just because he hasn't won it.
No rings.
And and he's done it for the shortest time.
Yeah.
When he's been a coach, he's been phenomenal, but at 5 years right now, I think, as a head coach in the NFL.
Yep.
So I definitely put Pete ahead of him. And I think the country could have a case for putting Pete above Sean, because Pete Carroll, now as we say it, took Russell Wilson and got him to a Super Bowl and made him be the player that he was, where when the Broncos traded for Russ, we all thought that Pete was holding Russ back. We were wrong. And I flamed Pete a lot for that, and I've had to apologize and say, man, once we saw Russ in Denver, that was immediately an automatic bid for Pete Carroll being in the Hall of Fame. But I also think Sean has the automatic bid. So I think...
And Pete was 1 play away from 2 of them things, too.
Yeah.
Should he have stepped in and just handed it to Marshawn?
Yeah, somebody should have.
Yeah, it's really true. But then Russ would have been a 2-time Super Bowl winner as well. Speaking of Russ, guys, there was a report on Friday. I mean, we're talking minutes after Pete Carroll was hired to be the Raiders head coach. And this report came in from a very credible national reporter. And I want to pull it up to read the exact words right here. It came in from, oh my gosh, I almost have it. It came in from Jeff Howe, who's a national reporter who lives on the Northeast, and he said, with Pete Carroll taking over the Raiders, one name I've heard to watch at quarterback is Russell Wilson. They've mended fences per source, and Wilson could be a stopgap while the Raiders develop a long-term answer. When you guys hear that, what are your feelings about Raider Russ potentially being a thing?
Let him go there. And let's play him twice a year. I'm not nervous. We'll see.
I think it'd be a good move for him. I think this isn't the year to be drafting a quarterback, you know? And
Especially at 6.
Exactly. And so I think it makes sense to kind of build the team up around him. And when the time comes that you can get a quarterback, that's when you go get him. And you'd like to have somebody in there who you trust and can play. Why not? Why not Russ? Like, he might not be any better than Teddy Bridgewater will be out there. Like Gardner Minshew, I'm sure they could bring back. If you're going to get one of those guys, go get Russ, like reunite it. I think that's a good way to finish, because at least there's a chance he pops. Like he played well this year. not so great the end of the year, but there was at least enough there to say, hey, if the rest of the team is good enough, he can get us to the playoffs. It's just tough to believe the Raiders can do that, but sure, why not?
What's so funny about Russ's season is if you, let's say the Raiders do sign him, the Raiders fans will look at the first 8 games of Russ this season and be like, see, there's really something to go behind. Like, this guy was great. I think he was 8-2 or 6-2 or whatever, really good. Maybe even actually undefeated in his first 6 or 8 games. And then if you're a Broncos fan, you'll just look at the last 5 games where he went 0-5, completely melted down, had all of the classic sacks that he has, the turnovers, the fumbles, the interceptions, and be like, yeah, he's washed. And that's just all in one season. That's kind of the Russell Wilson experience, not just with the Broncos, but even at his time with the Seahawks. Like, he would go out and just do nothing for 3 quarters, and then at the end of the game, he'd go and win him the game. I think this would be a move that would be loved everywhere, which is so crazy to say. Henry, I think the Raiders would like it. I think Raiders fans could get behind it for a couple of years, especially. Are you really doing a true full rebuild with the oldest coach in NFL history?
Hopefully not.
Yeah, you probably want some stop gaps and stuff. You probably want to compete to an extent right away. Compete to an extent.
That was the tweet they sent out.
Oh, is that what they said?
Yeah.
All I saw was
in their announcement.
All I saw was the one with the.
I didn't see that.
Was it gum?
I don't. Oh, he does chew a lot of gum
all the time.
But like, this
gum.
didn't look like a piece of gum. You hear? Can you find the tweet that the Raiders put out? It was like one that they did like an hour before the official announcement.
That just took me down like a whole alternate universe. Like, imagine if the Broncos had gone Pete Carroll. Instead, we go to the Super Bowl and we're wearing the visor. Instead, we just show up and we're all just like chewing gum. Yeah.
And I think this is something Raiders can get behind. I also think, from a Broncos perspective, give me this, because it would be so juicy. Russell Wilson and Sean Payton going up against each other once a year. Sean Payton was still taking shots at Russ at the season-ending press conference this year. He was taking shots at Russ. When he goes up against him directly, I would love it. But I'm not going to lie, guys. When the Broncos played the Raiders, it would be so thrilling. It would also be so much anxiety. Because after everything the Broncos did, if they lost to him, I can't even put myself in that situation. Because the Broncos still have $35 million in dead cap this year. So essentially, they're still paying Russell Wilson this coming year to play for the Raiders.
Would we finally get the primetime week 1? Like, just like we thought against the Steelers last year? This year, it's like, are the Broncos ready to take the next step with Bo Nix? And they got a game against the Raiders. And so the thing is, that game has a primetime history, too.
Yeah.
Like, that's like one of the classic Monday night. Specifically Monday night games.
It used to be
repeated.
the late slot, because they used to open up Monday night with a doubleheader. Now I think they do the doubleheader week 2.
Yeah.
So it still could be that Monday night game.
Yeah. But I could see that. And then it's Russ coming back.
Yep.
Pete Carroll is back in the NFL.
Yep.
There's a chance.
Man, that would be electric. You hear, did you find that tweet from the Raiders? Is whatever day, I think Saturday, they officially announced Pete as their head coach. It's like a Pete, I think it's bubble gum, but it's weird because it does not look like gum. It looks like, what are like the cakes they have? The cakes they have in New Orleans.
Like a
King's cake?
no.
Yes.
Oh.
It looks like a pink one of those, I think. If I remember what King's cake looks like. It was weird. I was confused. I didn't like it.
I found it.
Like you're talking about like a beignet.
Oh, yeah.
This one?
That's it.
I'll send it.
Like, what the heck is that?
It's
Is that
nice and
gum?
blurry. That is gum. That is gum.
Doesn't it look more like a cake? No?
No, because look
think
at
that
the
looks like gum?
What would the cake be on?
That looks like a square piece.
We gotta send this to
Is
you.
gum
This is-
square?
Yeah.
That looks
Okay,
like gum?
you got.
Gum is square or rectangular. I
Yeah.
don't know any
Is it like-
circular gum.
I have never seen...
It could be like a strip.
I've
but
never seen a square piece of gum.
that's like bubble gum.
No, bubblegum's a little oval thing.
Oval?
I don't know about oval.
Yeah.
Bubble gum is a ball from a vending machine.
You know,
All
no.
other gum comes in rectangulars.
What's the one that's
rectangle shapes?
Yeah, but they're long and skinny. This was not a long and skinny piece of gum.
No, it was not. But it was still like, I can't remember what brand that is, but I've had that gum.
What's the gum that comes in the...
Oh, that's Trident. It has like
No,
layers.
that's the different. That,
But it's like layered, and then you open up the pack, right? If you saw it from the side and it was blurry, I see where you can see like it looks like a cake.
that's a third type of rectangular gum.
This looks like a piece of cake to
I
me.
don't know what that is.
What-
I think.
is
first
it
of all,
chune? Chune?
I don't.
If you
Chewed?
chew something.
Chewed.
Chewed. Yeah,
Chewed.
chewed.
Chune. I was like, what do you say with chune?
Is that a chewed piece of gum?
No, it's not chewed. That's fresh. That's fresh.
Oh, like Bubba Hubba.
Does-
Hubba
Oh,
Bubba?
that's what it is. That's what it is.
Oh,
Yes.
there we go.
But no,
Yeah,
I think that's a good tweet though, right?
That,
Like just like the picture of it, you put it out there, and everybody's like, oh wait, does this mean Pete Carroll? But
will confuse the hell out of me. But also,
I
the
think
Pete Carroll
that's
news
what they
was
want.
the Pete Carroll news was announced 24 hours before this tweet.
oh, before?
Yeah.
Oh, I mean that'd be like the Broncos posting a picture of a visor, you know?
Yeah,
It just get the people riled up. I thought this was like a tease.
I thought it was stupid. Well, it was a tease. It was a tease to the official announcement.
Okay.
Because they officially announced Saturday, but the news leaked Friday.
Yeah.
So stupid. He's in the building today. Yep. I think he's having his introductory press conference. Darren Mugi, a lot of Broncos news over the weekend as well, which we are going to dive in either tomorrow or Wednesday, because Darren Mugi, the Broncos' former assistant general manager, just had his introductory press conference with the New York Jets to become their GM. A lot of moves that we're going to catch you guys up with, and some good news as well. And before we jump into tomorrow's show, let's hit a super chat that we've got. Before we hit the super chat, hit us with a thumbs up. We really appreciate it. Helps us out a ton. I think this has been a really fun show. If you guys agree, hit us with a thumbs up too. And a super chat coming in from Scott Kerr. Steve Kerr's brother, do we think?
Yeah.
Good old Scotty.
Yeah. Good old Scotty Kerr, who says, Broncos fan since 2011 from UK, but first year with DNVR. Pod, so much love for the show and look forward to leaving for another year with you guys. Toughest division going forward. F them Chiefs. LFB.
Let's go, baby.
I love it.
Bo leaving almost sounds like Bo leaving, you know?
What?
Like in like 4 years, like Bo's leaving.
That was a stretch.
Okay. Well, just for some reason, for the first time ever, I heard Bo leaving. I was
You
like,
got
that's
scared.
maybe someday that'll be like that'll be how it ends.
Yeah.
Wow.
Like, hopefully it's like 20 years from now he retires, and then we'll put out a new shirt, Bo leaving.
But that's sad even.
Well, it's gonna be sad.
Like, did
it
you
was sad.
celebrate Peyton Manning's
Oh,
retirement?
I cried.
John Elway's
But I'd wear a
retirement?
commemorative shirt about it. I was hardly alive.
That's true.
Yeah.
So you probably were crying, just not for his.
Could be. At some point
Retirement.
that day, I probably cried.
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
2.
Yeah, you're definitely
For
crying.
sure.
Yeah.
Man, let us. How's the vibes in the chat been today in the Toyota chat?
Better than these damn vibes on Twitter.
Oh man, that's why I thought we were walking into a scary place today, just because it seems like it is all doom and gloom. But of course, not in the Toyota chat. That's why we love this community here. Vibes, you hear? Need a vibe check? Good. I love that. Man, a lot of Chiefs haters. Good, as there should be.
Do you want
Lot
to talk
of
about the
Chiefs.
3.5 million people who are calling me an idiot?
It's a lot of people.
Sure is, isn't it?
Yeah.
Probably should.
Sure is.
Since you brought it up.
Yeah, I just thought. I mean, if we got a man to
Because,
kill.
to be honest, I also thought you were an idiot.
Oh, everybody
Todd,
does.
do you know about this drama?
No, but I heard you say something about it.
Yeah, so I mean, I just sent out first I sent out a tweet where it's like Saquon's getting 12.5 million per year. T. Higgins is gonna get like 30. Like, that's kind of crazy, right? And somebody responded. I quote tweeted, and I just thought, here's a fun little thing. I tweeted, I wonder if there's another former first-round running back out there coming off a 3.9 yards per carry season who's carried the weight of his team for 4 years, might break out if he gets away from an awful offensive line. Because that's exactly what happened with Saquon. Also, Najee Harris, almost the same numbers, that sort of stuff. Like, huh. So I responded to the tweet and said, Najee Harris doesn't have Saquon's top gear, but some of the similarities are pretty crazy. With the similarities being that, you know,
The numbers.
they're coming from there. It's like, these are the type of guys you invest in. 28th ranked offensive line. You bring him here, all of a sudden he could break out. But nobody read the first tweet.
No. Don't put this on everyone else, Mr. Henry.
We have numbers.
No.
165,000 people read the first tweet. 3.5 million read the second tweet.
Yes, but
and that's
it was-
that's before
it was
FanDuel
the
takes and
second-
tweets. Henry Chisholm says this. What do you think? And then all of a sudden, there's a whole bunch more people who aren't even counted here who are saying like, "Oh, this guy's a moron."
It's because
And
the
there's that-
second tweet,
Dang.
you didn't refer to anything
Yes.
about their situations. You
The
referred
similarities.
specifically to traits because
Yeah.
you pointed to
No,
Saquon's trait.
the only
So then
the only
people-
trait I mentioned is the one that separates them. He doesn't have the explosiveness. That's the difference. You know,
Flamed.
I know I did get flamed. Bro, these people, the number of people who told me to kill myself yesterday,
Okay,
you wouldn't believe it.
that's way too far.
Well, I agree.
Definitely.
The people who messaged me, I'm obviously not opening them.
Just
Most
DM'd
recent.
you and saying,
Oh boy, they're
Is this
actually
what it's
a
like
whole
being
bunch.
an athlete?
yeah, pretty much. honestly.
Yeah, I bet. You
Ugh.
just gotta. Let's be nice to Henry.
I
okay?
never DM people, but comparing Najee Harris to Saquon Barkley in any shape, way, and blah 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 blah. Just there's nice DM. It was a crazy one.
Dang.
But
Yeah.
again, like 3.5 million people see the tweet. 90% of them probably think like this guy's an idiot.
Yeah.
It's a lot of people.
Are they wrong?
That's it for our show today.
And Todd, you take us out.
We're out, baby. We'll see you guys tomorrow, 11 a.m. Don't miss us. We'll be here live. Peace.
We all silly like the mayor.